Okay, yeah, so from this moment on, the recording is going on. Okay, guys, so welcome, everyone, my dear friends. I'm really excited to have all of you here. I'm really excited to have Noa Lakshmi here. She's going to enlighten us today about prolonged juice fasting, about regeneration. We will start with the guided meditation. But first, I want to tell you that this wonderful gathering has been organized by the weekly fasting group. It's a WhatsApp group of people from all over the world who dedicate themselves to cultivating this habit of fasting once a week. We fast every week between Friday and Saturday, at least for 24 hours. Yes, but there are people who prolong it. And this habit really changes people's lives. So if you are watching this video and this idea appeals to you and you are not in this group and you would like to try how it goes, then I will leave my WhatsApp number below this video. My name is Arik and I'm the moderator of this group. And you're welcome to text me your name and just ask me to add you to this group. And I will happily do that. And you will get access to different webinars and lots of friendly communication, lots of support, all dedicated to this habit of fasting, which is great. Okay, and now I want to present to all of you Noa Lakshmi. She currently lives in Costa Rica, right?
Yes,
Very
correct.
good. She's originally from Israel, but she has lived in the United States for many years, and then you lived in Mexico for some time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So after the meditation, we'll talk a little bit if you would like to share with us your personal story. But right now, guys, just relax, mute yourself again, please, and Noah will lead us with the guided meditation. Okay, dear Noah, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Arik. So thank you everyone for being here. Before we dive into all the goodies and all the details, let's do a little meditation. So find a comfortable seat. Close your eyes or keep your eyes open, whatever feels for you in this now moment. And begin by bringing your awareness to your body. Bring awareness to your being sitting in this space. Inhale through your nose and gently exhale through the nose. And notice the air moving in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. Very simply, bring your awareness to your breath. Bring your awareness to this present moment. Feeling the sensations in your body. Feeling if there's any points of tension. And consciously relax any parts in your body and maybe in your mind that you are finding any type of tension. With your next exhale, send your breath to that point of tension and allow it to melt. Allow it to completely relax. No need to force the breath, just regular, slow breathing in and out through the nose, but with your conscious awareness, sending the exhales into any parts in your body, any parts in your mind that are asking for more relaxation, for more ease, for more presence. And now place your hands on your heart, one hand on top of the other. And in this now moment, feel your heart beating in your chest. This simple yet so powerful heart of yours that is beating day in and day out, pumping this beautiful, magnificent blood all throughout your body, and so much more. And as you feel your heart beating in your chest and feeling the blood moving throughout your body, bring a sense of gratitude, sense of appreciation, and a deep, sincere sense of love to this present moment. Gratitude, appreciation, and love for who you are. Gratitude, appreciation, and love for this now moment. Gratitude, appreciation, and love for everything that is taking place in your life up until this now moment, to bring you to this now moment. Who you are, that which you are becoming, and this beautiful life force that is moving through you, in you, all around you, all the time. Call it God, call it life force, call it prana, call it chi, whatever word that resonates with you. It's beyond the words. Feel it beating in your chest, feel it beating in your body, pulsating from the inside out, radiating from every single cell within you, giving you life, giving you joy, giving you so much all the time. Breathe that gratitude, appreciation, and love into your body, into every cell. See it as a beautiful light, liquid light, moving through you from head to toe, from top to bottom. And with this sense of gratitude, appreciation, and love, acknowledge energetically every person that is here on this webinar and every person that will be listening later. As we gather together as one in this space, and radiate that love, radiate that life force, radiate that light into every single person on this call today. As my heart beating in your chest, as your heart beating in your chest, as one heart, radiating love and light into the universe. Inhale deeply through your nose. Hold the breath for a few moments. When you're ready, exhale gently. Settle into the space. Allow yourself to receive all that you are meant to receive on this call and beyond. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Wow. Thank you so much. No, it was wonderful. Wow.
Pleasure.
Thank you so, so much. Okay, guys, so please come here. Meanwhile, a few more people joined us. Ravital joined us and a few other great people. Cool. Okay. Yeah, and from Maria. Maria says, thank you for the meditation. It was lovely. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, there is special magic in live meditation. So thank you very much. Okay, guys. So we are officially starting our webinar dedicated to prolonged juice fasting and solid food vacation. And again, today we have with us amazing Noa Gaia Lakshmi, and she has recently completed her 93-day, right? 93-day juice fast. And since then, she even managed to do some dry fasting, right? So how many days did you do your dry fasting recently?
Recently, last week, it was 5 days.
5 days. Amazing. So guys, you can ask about both. The main point of this webinar is going to be solid food vacation, juice fasting. But before we delve into it, Noah, I would love to hear a little bit your personal story, because I looked a little bit on your website and I didn't find it there. Maybe it's there, maybe I just didn't look at the right place. But what brought you to tell us a little bit about your life story? What brought you to this healing path? How did you start? What did you do on the path, etc.? Whatever feels right for you to say.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Arik. It's not really on my website because it's such a multi-layered story, I would say, that it'd need a lot of pages to cover it.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's my personal story of how I've come into this lifestyle. I would say it's been a progression. It's been an evolution, which is probably a similar story for many people, majority of people, where one step took me to the next, then took me to the next, then took me to the next. I've always been very curious about, well, when it comes to food, when it comes to nutrition, I've always been really curious about health and healthy living and healthy feeding and healthy food. But I would say that what was the catalyst for my healing journey? It was yoga. I came in I started practicing yoga, not really looking for any type of healing, but actually I was wanting to lose weight, or not because I was overweight, but I wanted to be fit. And so I got into hot yoga, Bikram yoga, and that was a doorway for me that I didn't know, but it was a doorway to get into the space of healing and started healing my body and healing my emotional body. And opening more into spirituality, although I've always been very spiritual looking back, even as a little child. So the doorway for me was really through that. It was through yoga. And as I started practicing yoga, especially hot yoga at the time, the chemistry in my body started changing. And that's what happens when we start fasting, when we start getting into all these things, is that the chemistry in the body actually changes. And that changes us mentally, it changes us emotionally, it changes us spiritually. And that's when we start changing on so many levels. And then life brings us the next piece.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, and I want to add this as well, because that's the reason why I started practicing hot yoga, because I wanted to look better.
Mm-hmm.
I had eating disorders when I was in high school, when I was a teenager. It was always a self-image thing, wanting to change my body. And that's what got me in. And through yoga, I started healing those aspects of myself. And I got into self-love, and I got into really looking at myself and what we call self-development and self-growth.
Mm-hmm. No, and we are talking about how many years back when you first started with yoga?
When I first started practicing yoga, that was 2003 or 2004, one of
Wow.
those years.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I'm just asking because it might be relevant for some of our group members. So you mentioned some eating disorders. Could you mention specific disorders that you had, that because you obviously overcame them, you got over them, so it might be just relevant for the people who are watching?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it's a very significant piece in my story, and what I'm here to share with others, especially women. Not to say that men are not subjected to this, but it's a kind of a female thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was anorexic when I was in high school, and then it turned into what was in my early 20s. I started becoming bulimic as well. And it's really in the head. Like it's such a mind thing, because even if a person is not anorexic or bulimic, it's really the mindset. And there's pieces of that eating disorder that I still see in my life, and really being aware of that. And it's a very deep subject, on many levels, emotionally and spiritually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, no, and what brought you on the fasting path? Was it part of yoga practice that actually made you fast for the first time?
Well, not so much. So that was a few years ago that I got deeper into detoxification, regenerative detoxification, and I became a practitioner. And I was also in a partnership at that time, and he was a little bit, you can say, ahead of me, and was doing a lot of fasting. And he was the one that introduced me to intermittent fasting, of actually doing more intermittent fasting. So I started doing that. And little by little, I started introducing more fasting into my life. And I would say the biggest leap for me was last year, when I did a 21-day water fast. I had done a 7-day water fast in 2012, I believe it was.
Yeah.
It was a 7-day water fast, and that completely changed my life. I didn't know anything about fasting. I just I felt guided to embark on a 7-day fast. I was already doing the fruits lifestyle, being a full-on fruitarian, and I was guided to do a 7-day water fast. And so I did that, but it wasn't until last year. So it had been about 8 years in between, that I felt the guidance to do a 21-day water fast. Before that, I had done, just like 2 days, 3 days. Dry fasting was something kind of in the in the back seat that I had heard about, but it wasn't until, I would say more last year that I really got into fasting more and more into the dry fasting.
Very interesting. No, and tell us please about the evolution of your diet. How did it go? Because today I think you are a raw foodist mostly, or a fruitarian mostly. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't like titles. I don't like I'm a
Yeah.
fruitarian, I'm a vegan. When people ask me, are you a fruitarian or are you vegan? I say no. I am who I am, and I choose to eat certain foods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also interesting for me that humans have put things into categories, and the bottom line is that we are a species, and we have a particular food that is designed for us.
Yeah.
So I don't like to call myself a certain thing or call other people, it's just, no, we just eat the food that we were designed to eat. And
Absolutely.
I mean, we can go deeper, and we'll go deeper into the fact that we can live without food altogether. So that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But to answer your question, the evolution for me was, again, one piece, each piece came into my life in the right order. I stopped eating meat when I was 12.
Wow.
And that was just a decision that I made at a young age. There was no influence whatsoever from my family. I was never a big meat eater, even before that, but I just put the two together, and it didn't make sense to me to eat animals.
Mm.
So at
And
the age,
was your family tolerant enough to accept your
oh
choice?
yeah, absolutely. I remember my dad was very young, but I remember my dad was a vegan or whatever. He didn't eat meat for a very, very long time. So yeah, it was fine for
You're
my
lucky.
family. Yeah,
Okay.
I was fine for my family. As long as from what I remember, I don't think there was any objection. But also the person that I am and the way I've always been, even since I was a little kid, I do what feels right to me, and it doesn't matter what anybody says, basically. So I'm a very free spirit, and my name, that's what it means. NOA in Hawaiian means to be free.
Wow.
So more than anything else, that's what I truly eager and happy to share with people, is that kind of freedom. And that's what I see with fasting and purifying the body and autonomous lifestyle. It's really about freedom.
Yeah.
It's really about being free, right? So how to liberate ourselves from so many different things. But yeah, I stopped eating meat when I was 12. And as I said, even though it was because I wanted to be skinny, that was the reason, but that was the drive for me also to seek for what is healthy in terms of food. So I was on a quest to find what is healthy. And so I kept finding new information in regards to healthy food choices. So that was after I had moved to New York in my early 20s that I started learning more about veganism, because I was still eating a lot of dairy. I was still eating eggs, I believe, not much. And I was still eating soy, and I was still eating cooked food for sure. And that's when I started learning more about vegan, and I started cutting out things out of my diet, out of my lifestyle. So I started cutting out dairy. I started cutting out processed sugar. Oh, the other thing is that I was addicted to Diet Coke. I was drinking a lot of Diet Coke. I wasn't drinking water at all. And when I started practicing Bikram yoga, it was a natural process. About 3 months into the practice, I no longer wanted to drink Diet Coke. And that was just a natural progression, because again, as I said, chemically the body changes. And then I started rejecting the things that I used to like.
Amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, so after that, around 2008 or 9 is when I found out about raw food. And I found the 80-10-10 book as well, talking about being a fruitarian. And the thing is I've always loved fruits. Fruits
Mm-hmm.
was always my favorite food.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read that book, it was to me like I was reading the Bible. Like,
Wow.
oh yeah, everything made sense to me. Even with the raw food, everything made sense to me. I'm like, yeah, why are we cooking our food? It doesn't make any sense. So everything that I was reading and finding about raw food and then fruitarianism hit home for me. It resonated on such a deep level. And the kind of person that I am is when I find something that feels true to me and resonates with me, I go in all the way and I don't look back. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the biggest shift, I would say, that occurred at that stage of my evolution, is when I really dove into the fruit. And for about 2 years, I was pretty strict with eating 98% fruit, very, very, very low fat, natural, hygienic diet. I didn't know what I was doing because I didn't know anything about detoxification back then. I was just eating fruits and loving it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the point that I also left New York to go to Hawaii for 6 months. And that was a big turning point in my life in terms of the entire lifestyle, because it's more than just the food that we eat.
Mm. Okay. So what was the what was the turning point about?
Well, it was 6 months in Hawaii, and then I went to New York because that's where I was living, and I
Mm-hmm.
literally had a nervous breakdown because
Wow.
I couldn't. Living in a city is not a natural place for us to live as humans, and
Right.
especially when you eat fruits, or even if it's just raw food, and your body is becoming cleaner and cleaner and you're becoming more and more sensitive, it's
Mm-hmm.
very, very challenging to live in a city environment. I mean, of course you can isolate yourself and live in a little in your little bubble, but
Yeah.
still the energies of the cities are not conducive and not supportive to the human organism on all levels. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really felt that. And that's when I had the realization and revelation, is that I couldn't really live in the city anymore because it didn't resonate with my being. And it took
Mm-hmm.
about a year and a half, 2 years for me to leave the city altogether. And that's when I moved to Hawaii, and I lived in Hawaii for a few years. Because the thing with health, and this is really what I want to dive into here today, is we focus so much about the food that we eat or that we don't eat, but there's so much more when it comes uh, to well-being and our potential as humans and our
Mm-hmm.
human evolution. And
Mm-hmm.
so we must consider and really look at all the factors of what really supports us as human beings on this planet at this time, and how us being supported in our own evolution and journey of well-being actually supports the well-being of the planet, because it's all connected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Noah, so thank you very much. Now, please tell us what brought you to the point when you were ready to conduct this 93-day solid food vacation. How did you
Yeah,
gradually progress towards this point?
yeah, absolutely. So I think it was 2013 that I did a 40-day juice feast. And again, that was before I knew anything about detoxification and solid food vacation. I just did that and I felt amazing. And I haven't done anything like that since then. So the catalyst for me was an iridology reading that I had, actually. Um, and as I tell people, because I do iridology myself, but it's always very helpful to have another practitioner looking at your eyes. And I always tell people it's an eye-opening experience. And I had a very eye-opening experience in that eye reading when I saw that pretty much everything that I experience in my body, the source of it is my gut.
Mm.
And so the practitioner that I was working with, or the person that did my eye reading, she said, you got to do a solid food vacation, and you got to do a long one.
Wow.
Because even with the fruits, it's not the same. And it's also very different than a water fast, even though I had done a water fast, which definitely was a huge step in the direction of healing and regeneration. And everything that we do, every fast, every solid food vacation, every time, it's another milestone. It's another step in the direction of cellular regeneration, because it's a journey. It's not a sprint. And so she said that with so much conviction. She said, Noah, you got to do a solid food vacation. That's really the answer. And I said, okay, let's do it.
Wow.
And that was, to me, the motivation. And that's the piece that I want to share here today as well, in regards to the mindset of really knowing your why, really knowing what is moving you. Because when we have a strong why, we can move mountains.
Good. So your practitioner actually advised you to do it, and you were talking about the first solid food vacation, right? Or about the second one?
Oh, this one, the 93
This
days.
one. Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And what about the first one? How did you get to this decision to conduct the first one?
The first one, for me, I'm a very intuitive creature, you can say. Sometimes it's just guidance that I receive.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with a 21-day water fast, I get guidance. I receive
Mm-hmm.
guidance,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I follow it.
Ah.
And I follow it. And I feel that there's something to be said about timing, because my guidance is not your guidance, is not somebody else's guidance. It's really about tuning into one's own guidance. And then the trick is to listen.
Yes.
Because that's what we have, what we call free will. We have the power of choice. I received that guidance, I received that information regarding the solid food vacation. I could have ignored that, but
Mm-hmm.
I knew without a shred of a doubt, and I want it so much. I want to heal, I want to regenerate. Then I followed the guidance. Okay, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Now, okay, so now let's actually delve into the subject of solid food vacation. So probably people here have lots of questions, but first, you were probably thinking about particular set of subjects that you would like to cover. So maybe you just tell us whatever you think is suitable, and then we will just ask people to ask questions.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. I
Mm-hmm.
have some of the questions that people had already posted, and thank you for everyone that had posted their question. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll touch on those questions, and then of course, people that are here live and have questions, I'm happy to share and answer any of the questions that you have. So one of the things, before I go into the questions, one of the things that I want to start with, and this is, I already touched on it, it really is the mindset, because it can be a challenge. It can definitely be a challenge. And I see people post questions in some of the groups that I'm a part of, and even clients that I work with, is how do I do this? Like I want to, and then I do 3 days, I do 4 days, I do 7 days, I do 10 days, and then I give up, or I can't keep going. And there's many factors when it comes to that, of how to keep going, and how to keep going on an extended solid food vacation, right? Because it's one thing to do a week, it's a different story to do 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
or even 30 days, or even 40 days, right? Being consistent. And man, I still I still work on the mindset, and I still have times where I know I want to do something, but then the mind kind of pulls me in a different direction. So it's a constant practice, especially when it comes to fasting. But to set a proper mindset, as I already said, is really get rooted in your why. and write it down if necessary. Write it on a big piece of paper and post it somewhere. And for some people, it could be the whys because you do have an acute ailment. You could be experiencing something in your body that is causing you discomfort and pain, and that's your why. Usually for us humans, there are two things that give us motivation. It's either desperation or inspiration. And sometimes it's a combination of both. And sometimes we do need to get to a point of desperation, so that's a big enough of a why. But sometimes it's just enough for us to be inspired, to see somebody else and to say, wow, this is really inspiring to me, and I would like to accomplish the same and do the same. And so the inspiration moves us. Now, there's a big difference, though, between inspiration and comparison, because what I see a lot in this community is, you can see somebody doing a 10-day, 20-day fast, dry fast maybe, and that can be inspiring to you or inspiring to me, but that doesn't mean that I am necessarily ready physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to embark on such an endeavor. And so it's a dance. That's why I call it an art. There's an art to fasting. There's an art to detoxification. There's an art to solid food vacation, to all of this, ultimately to tune into your body so you can be inspired by something and someone, but then to check in with your own body, with your own being, with your own soul. Is this in alignment with me right now? Or is this something that will be more suitable a month from now or a year from now? Just let it naturally unfold. And I say it from experience because I see a lot of people doing these very long dry fasts, and I really want to do that too because that's my nature. But then I'm finding that it's really is a dance, that although I want to do 7 days, 5 days so far has been what is good for my being, for my body, for my spirit, for my mind. And same thing goes to a solid food vacation. I wasn't ready even 6 months ago or a year ago to do 93 days. Mentally, emotionally, physically, there's so many components to our evolution and our existence, and we really got to honor that. But I was ready, and that's one of the reasons why I actually it was easy for me. It was easy for me to do 93 days. I actually could have gone longer. So the mindset is number one. Be rooted in your why. Be not desperate, but inspired enough to elevate your well-being, to elevate your health, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to embark on such an endeavor. While that's why it's a dance, while honoring your being. That you might be inspired to do 90 days, but maybe 60 days is perfect for you right now, because it's a journey. It's you can do 90 days 6 months from now, maybe. I really believe that when it's aligned on all levels, then it comes with more ease and grace. There's room for discipline, or what I like to refer to as devotion, not so much discipline, but it's devotion. I am devoted to myself. I am devoted to my well-being and the well-being of humanity. And that's what helps me to stay on course, to stay on track. So there's room for that devotion, but also honoring where I'm at. Because if we push too much and we push too hard, it's like a rubber band. It snaps.
Mm-hmm. No, that's amazing. It was an amazing inside. So, so in your opinion, for most people, would it be more advisable to define ahead of time the amount of days they want to go on solid food vacation, or just start and then go by feeling and intuition?
That's a great question, Arik. And I was just about to say that. So when I started this solid food vacation, and I did my research, right? I started watching John Rose's videos and did some research. And I want to say that I do research, but at the end of the day, I always tune into what's right for me. And I'll speak more about that, especially with some of the questions that I have here. So I did my research and I said, okay, I'm not putting a time frame. So I didn't say I was going to do 93 days. I said, I'm going the long distance. I knew that 90 days was the minimum. But basically, I said, I'm going to keep going until I no longer eliminate solid matter.
Mhm.
That's what I
No,
said.
no, but I'm sorry. Why is this criteria of 90 days? Like, where did you take it from?
Oh, the 90 days that's from John Rose, basically,
Mm,
that he says 90 days, like 3 months on a solid food vacation, that's going to reset your entire system.
mm. No, and also we might have some of the viewers who are not familiar with John Rawls. It might be
Yeah.
some kind of a misunderstood word for them. So could you
Yeah,
please explain who he is?
absolutely. So John Rose, and you can find him on YouTube. He has lots and lots of videos about many different topics. But and he's not the one that invented a juice feast. He's the one that coined the term solid food vacation. And he advocates and supports and guide people through solid food vacation. So that's who John Rose is. And he has a particular protocol when it comes to the solid food vacation and certain things that he recommends. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but I always extract what resonates with me. There are many, many amazing teachers out there, and I extract what resonates with me, and I create, you can say, my own structure that I then share with other people as well. But my guidance is always, always, always is about you follow your guidance, not mine.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. So yeah, I was thinking we'll put a link to his YouTube channel below this video so that people can find it.
Yeah, and John Rose, he teaches about the mucoid plaque, everything that lives in your gut, lives in your colon, the amount of waste, the amount of fecal matter, old fecal matter that lives in the colon. And that's the reason, I would say, that one of the biggest reason to embark on a solid food vacation is to eliminate all that gunk, to eliminate all that junk, which, by the way, that's what kept me going on my solid food vacation. Because when I saw what was coming out of me, now look at me, I'm like a petite woman. I don't have like a big belly or anything. It's like, where all this thing, where does it live?
Wow.
So when you start seeing, and that's even as little as 17 days that I started seeing nasty things coming out, that's what gave me motivation.
Wow.
That's what gave me motivation to just keep on going. Because it's one thing to have an iridology reading and see, okay, my gut is the source of many of the issues that I experience in my health. But then it's a different story to actually see it coming out the other end. And it's shocking also, like, wow, this has been living in my body and been a source of toxicity for so many years.
Wow, so interesting. Okay, so you did not define ahead of time the amount of days you will be juice fasting. And then you say that you were motivated, among other things, by what was coming out of you, just by getting rid of this stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I was
Okay.
very motivated by that. Yes. Hmm.
Okay, so please continue.
Yeah. And so with the 93 days, as I said, I could have kept on going. And one of the reasons why I transitioned after 93 days, well, one of them was a practical thing because I knew I was about to transition a physical location. And so I wanted to start transitioning out of the juicing and knowing that I will be moving around a little bit. So it was like logistical. Some of it was mental as well, because I knew I wanted to do a dry fast, a 5 to 7 day dry fast. And I was already quite skinny. But that's, again, that's a mental thing that I am overcoming right now, you know, of letting go of that, the skinny issue and all of that, knowing that we can totally live and thrive on air and prana alone. So that's where I'm at on my journey. But nevertheless, again, that's where I'm at physically. On a soul level, I felt the guidance to just start incorporating a little bit more solid food, which just fruits. Um, yeah, so those were the reasons why I started transitioning out of liquids. But I know I could have kept on going longer. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So I think you have intrigued all of us by saying that stuff was coming out of you, and then we kind of skipped this subject. So could you elaborate on that a little bit? What did you see? Did you see parasites? Did you see, what did you see exactly?
Well, you tell me, Arik, if this is appropriate. And I don't know, you know, some people might not be interested, because I have pictures, you know, of actually what came out of me, and I could share.
No, we lost you. Just a moment. Noah, we lost you in there, Noah. Okay, cool. Okay, so we handled it. Noah?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. We lost you again for a second, but now
Oh,
we're now it's all fine. Now it's all fine.
yeah, it's been raining a lot here in the last couple of days, and so the electricity may just kind of goes out for a minute, and then my Wi-Fi goes out.
No problem, no problem. So we'll take it into account. If it happens again, I will just pause the recording and we will wait for you here.
Yeah, I apologize about that. I'm happy that I have connection altogether. So let's just keep
No,
praying.
that's fine. Yeah, you know, you asked about showing the pictures. I think that on your YouTube channel you have a special video where you demonstrate all those pictures, right?
I don't have the pictures there, but it's okay. We don't have to do it right now. I'll just say that I didn't necessarily see parasites like anything big, but it's mucoid plaque mainly, and a lot of mucus. So those are the things that you see coming out, is the mucoid plaque, and that's what you want to see. That's really exciting. When anytime I would see things coming out, I would celebrate, and it's just such a joy to see it out, and also a shock, like, wow, this was inside of me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
actually
So
saw.
mucoid plaque.
So you actually saw this kind of rubber like stuff coming out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and lots of mucus, and that's the thing, is there's so much mucus accumulation in the
Yeah.
gut, which causes so many issues.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting, you know, because prior to that you had been eating healthy for a long time. Like what kind of a diet did you maintain prior to your sort of vacation? Was it fruitarian, like fruits mostly, or?
Yeah, so fruits is always the bulk of, or has been the bulk of my food ever since I've transitioned. So it's been a decade. But it's not like my food has been perfect. It's not like I have been 100% fruitarian since 2009. If that has been my case, then I would be in a much different place. But it hasn't been the case,
Yeah.
because there are challenges on this path when it comes to maintaining it. Like I bow to those that have been a long-term fruitarians for so many years without veering away. So it's been very clean eating in terms of not eating meat or not eating cooked food much or not eating grains or dairy and all of that. But it hasn't been quote unquote perfect. And I want to say that fasting really is one of the most healing and regenerative things to give our bodies and our spirit and our minds. And that's not something that I've been doing in the last decade. Right? So it's really the fasting that has turned things around massively.
Yeah. No, so if someone says, I'm just interested in hearing your opinion. If someone says, I will just eat raw foods and mostly fruit-based diet, and I don't need any other cleansers, like it will just clean me, it will just make me clean with the time. So would you agree with this statement, or you still think that even on raw foods in our polluted world, we need to do cleanses such as solid food vacation, fasting, etc.?
Well, you just hit it on the head right there. So number one, yes, you can eat living foods, and that's going to clean you out 100%. That's correct. But what you said, Arik, is also very correct, is that we do not, and John Rose talks about this, which I really appreciate. We do not live in an ideal world. We are striving, and that's why we are here, is to get back to that Garden of Eden that this planet is. Well, we do live in an ideal world, but the quality of living foods that are available for most people is not ideal. It's not. The level of nutrition that we used to have in our living foods, which it's just fruits, really. Let's just say that fruits is the food for humans. It's not what it used to be. So we got to look at the fact that our soils are depleted, and the living conditions from the majority of people are not ideal either. Because again, we focus so much on the food that we eat or we don't eat. Let us remember that the quality of air that we breathe is actually more important than all the food combined. And that most people breathe horrible air, which compromises the health of the body. It compromises the amount of oxygen that we actually have in our blood.
Yeah.
And that compromises the health. So you can eat all the amazing raw food in the world, but if you live in the middle of a city and you breathe all the soot and all the gunk and all the pollution, it's going to compromise your health.
Yeah.
And so that's the second part of your question is, yes, that is the reason why it is essential that we embark on particular protocols or particular cleanses that are actually not natural. If you think about it, juices are not really natural. You won't be walking around in nature with a juicer in your backpack.
Exactly.
Right? You will just be eating the fruits or not eating at all.
Yeah.
But we are a bit far, and that's an understatement, a bit far from that ideal reality. So that's why a solitude vacation and other cleanses are very valuable for somebody that is on a journey of health and regeneration.
Amazing. Now, so if someone now wants to embark on this journey of solid food vacation, how should they prepare themselves?
Okay, well, it really depends on what's their starting point. It's a very individual thing, because even in preparation, it's a little bit challenging for me to sit here and say, well, this is how you prepare, because Johnny might be still eating meat and drinking coffee, while Jimmy has been eating raw food for 3 years. So it really depends what's your starting point. So I would say, regardless of what your starting point is start eliminating the heavier foods. So if you're still eating meat and the dairy and drinking the coffee and eating the grains, is to start eliminating the heaviest food in your life. Let's say you've been eating raw foods for a little while, even in that category, you can start eliminating some of the heavier foods like the nuts and the seeds, heavy fats, I would say. And then, give yourself a few weeks of lightening the load, you can say.
Yeah.
And then go into a liquid based lifestyle or solitude vacation.
Okay. Okay. And any other special cleanses are needed, such as, say, doing enemas or whatever, before a person embarks on this solid food vacation?
Right. So that's one of the points that I wanted to touch on with the enemas, because it's a very controversial, you can say, topic, right? And ultimately, I want to bring it back to the person, to each and every individual, is to do what feels right in your body. And I feel enemas is a tool to help and support and assist us. It is an ancient tool. We find enemas in ancient Egypt. We find it being mentioned in the Bible, in the Gospels. So it's not something that I invented or that John Rose invented. This is something that goes way, way, way back, cleansing our colon, cleansing our bodies from the inside using the power of water. So personally, myself, I did use enemas during my solitude vacation, and I still use enemas. Is that something I'm going to use for the rest of my life? Probably not. And I don't know. But as long as your colon is still impacted, and hey, 95% of people are constipated, even if you go to the bathroom every single day, few times a day, we are a constipated species. And so the enemas, you had Brother Air a few weeks ago, and he's a huge advocate of enemas. And there's some things that he said about enemas that I agree, that until you are less constipated, enemas are very, very helpful. But again, do it in a way that suits your body.
Yeah.
Meaning the amount of water, because it's something that gradually you build up, that you train yourself, that you train your body. So you got to listen. You got to be in tune with what is your body ready to handle. The thing with the solitude vacation is it's important to move your bowels every single day. So if you are constipated and you're not eliminating, I advise to use an enema. So I didn't do an enema every single day on my solitude vacation. It really depended on the week and what was going on in my body, and every person's detoxification journey on a solitude vacation is going to be different. And I was also doing different protocols within the solitude vacation. I did a liver cleanse, and I did intestinal cleansing with castor oil. And so based on those different protocols, I also incorporated enemas.
So you did it during the solid food vacation or prior to that?
I did it during, yeah.
Good. And on a practical level, did you move your bowels actually every day? Did you get to the point?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I made a point that if I wasn't moving by just with a natural elimination, I did use an enema.
Wow, that is so important. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is...
Yeah, and this is something, for example, when I did my water fast, I was guided not to do enemas. The person that was guiding me at the time is not an advocate he doesn't advocate enemas. He's quite against it. And I followed his guidance. And that's a great example of how it's important to actually listen to your body and not somebody else's guidance and opinion. Because I wasn't moving my bowels at all for 21 days. And my water fast experience would have been vastly different if I had done enemas and released some of that toxicity during my water fast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now I'm not so much into water fasting as much as dry fasting.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to ever embark on a water fast again, I would definitely do enemas.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. No, so what are the main means of getting to the point where you move your bowels actually every day on solid food vacation? Because I feel it's a crucial point. So you mentioned that one means is just enemas, and
Yeah.
and then you also have different the substances that have laxative properties, such as castor oil. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not a fan of using laxatives or things like castor oil on a daily basis. What
Mm-hmm.
I work with and use are herbs. So
Aha. Okay.
we have the fruits, we have the juices, we have the fasting, and then we have the herbs. The
Mm.
herbs are like little angels.
Wow.
They're our little friends from nature that were designed to help us. They work in synergy with our bodies. That's what herbs are for. Now, it's not something, and people ask me, so what, am I going to be on these herbs forever? Like, no, just like you're not going to do enemas forever. And you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to be juicing forever unless you want to just live on liquids. And that's a different story. Those are
Yeah.
all tools. Those are all angels and allies to help us. And so
Yes.
I work with Dr. Morse's herbs. I know Dr. Morse has been mentioned on many webinars here. And
Right. Right.
he's one of my greatest teachers and just a great human being and a soul on this planet. So I work with his herbs, and he has fantastic herbal formulas for the bowels, for the GI tract.
Mm.
So those are the herbs that I recommend to take during a solid food vacation
In order to move your bowels every day.
in order to support your elimination. And
Mm.
it's not just the elimination and actually moving the bowels. Some of the herbs are strengthening and soothing for the GI tract.
Ah.
And they nourish the colon, they nourish the gut.
Mm.
So we want to nourish and eliminate simultaneously.
Yeah. What are the names of those formulas?
So Dr. Morse, it has the GI Renew, and there are different levels. There's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it just depends on level of constipation. I
Mm-hmm.
recommend most people, unless you're really, really constipated, and then you need to go to the number 4 and 5. But for most people, number 2 is good for at least the first couple of months. If you, let's say you're doing a 90-day solid food vacation, so the first couple of months to do the number 2, and then transition into the number 1
Mm-hmm.
towards the end of your solid food vacation. And then there's the GI broom.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, no. So number 1 is for the people who are less constipated, and then now
Yes.
number five is the for the people who are the most constipated. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
the higher the number, the higher the strength, basically.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So the number 2 is a good one for the majority of people, and then transitioning into number 1.
Mm.
But if you're really, really constipated, then number 3, 4, 5, and 5 would be extreme constipation.
Yes. Yes. And what do they contain? Do they contain fiber, like fibrous herbs or
No, it's
something?
all herbs. It's all herbs. Yeah,
Mm.
it's not about the fiber. It's about the
Mm.
herbs.
Uh-huh.
And the main herb that is active in those formulas is the Cascara sargata.
Ah. Also, John Ross, I think, talks about it.
He recommends to take only that.
Yeah.
But again, the thing is that my focus when it comes to regeneration is not just the elimination. Okay, we want to encourage the colon to move and to eliminate, is to nourish. So Dr.
Mm.
Morse puts together formulas that has the different herbs work in synergy with each
Mm-hmm.
other and with our body. So nourishing
Mm.
the gut, nourishing the colon, while encouraging healthy movement.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so he has those formulas, and you also mentioned GI room
GI
or something.
broom, GI
Okay.
broom, GI broom
What's
that does have the activated charcoal, and it does have some psyllium husk in it.
mm-hmm.
It does have some bentonite clay. So the GI broom, if you're really constipated, something to do right away. So that's where it's a very individual thing. It's a little bit tricky for me to sit here and, you know, mention certain formulas and herbs because it's case by case. Somebody might be not ready for GI broom and might be, we need a little bit more time to get things moving, and then we can incorporate the GI broom.
Yeah, but if a person comes to you for a personal consultation, because probably some people would be interested to do that, so could you fit them with the proper herbs for their solid food vacation after talking to them, examining them?
Yeah, based on their case, based on the health questionnaire and where they're at and what's going on, then yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So towards the end of this webinar, we'll ask Noa to tell us more about her practice and everything, but just take into account that you will be able to get to her private consultation, and then all those general things she's talking about now, she will fit them to your own personal case. Okay, now so let's continue. So what else? What other things are? Okay, I wanted to ask you also about moving bowels, because I think it's a very important point. Are there juices that are more supportive of moving bowels than other juices? You might say more laxative than other juices.
Yes, and you know, Arik, even in that category, it's a case by case, because a juice can be moving for me, but not for you, and vice versa.
Interesting.
So there's that. However, though, I want to say that citrus juice, OJ, definitely one of the number one juices to move your bowels.
Interesting.
And then the grape juice.
Grape juice. Okay.
Pear juice. Now, for example, I found in my solid food vacation, if somebody says in the chat, beet juice, correct, but some people might get constipated on beet juice. Some people's liver is so congested that beet juice is actually nauseating. So that's where it's case by case. But in general, yeah, beet juice will move you. Now, for example, during my solid food vacation, watermelon juice, I had days that that's all I wanted is watermelon juice. And it was moving melon juice and watermelon juice. I was doing a lot of melons too, just different melons. And that was moving my bowels.
No, we lost you again, but we're going to wait patiently. So I'm stopping the recording for now. Okay, good. So just a moment. Okay, because I thought that there was again this power cut. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we can see you back. That's really cool. Yes. So you were saying that beet juice, some people's liver is clogged, so it nauseates them. And then you talked about watermelon juice and melon juice. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was a great mover, but some people find that watermelon juice doesn't really help them move.
Okay.
So it really depends on the person, but I would say in general, I found the OJ to be extremely powerful.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And same thing with the grapes and lemons, combination of grapes and lemon and ginger.
Yeah.
Is another great one.
Okay. No, instead you're frozen. Can you hear me?
Okay, so I'm on.
Okay, you're back. That's the most important. Okay, cool.
I'm just gonna connect with my phone and because the Wi-Fi now is out.
Oh, really? Okay. So once the Wi-Fi is back, just let us know. We'll even wait for you because with the phone, the quality is a little bit lower, but we can still understand you, so that's fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So so you were saying that those juices are great. Like I think the last one you mentioned is grape, lemon, and ginger juice. That those are
Yeah,
great movers. No, and tell me, and were your bowel movements mostly liquid or mostly solid?
both.
Really?
Both, yeah. And that's the thing with the solid food vacation is ultimately, and that was my intention, is to keep going until I no longer uh I was no longer moving solids. Basically, that's when you've cleaned a lot, when you stop pooping solid and it's
Mm,
just liquid. I didn't necessarily get to that point, but no, you'll be amazed of what comes out of you after 90 days of just juices.
yeah, yeah. And those solids are not something that was created you like by the fiber of the juice or by some kind of new gut bacteria or whatever. So you think that from your experience it was the old gunk that came out.
I would say it's a combination, because yes, we still have some fiber in the juice, but some of the things that I saw coming out of me, I could just tell that it's just old fecal matter.
Ah,
It's not juice fiber. When you see like black and mucoidy kind of a bowel movement,
right.
it's not juice fiber.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. No. Okay, now we have a question from Ilinka that might be relevant here at this point. How much juice did you drink in one day and what kind of juices? And then she says, I finished 15 days juice fast, but I failed. I eat some fruits, or probably she meant I ate some fruits. And then yesterday I wanted to start again, and today I ate 2 avocados. So maybe you could answer this question of how much juices you drank and what kinds, and also maybe later on or now we could talk about if there's such thing as failure, because like saying to yourself I failed, how would you relate to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And then we can go into the questions, some of the questions that I have here, Arik, that you've sent
Yes,
me from
sure,
the
sure.
group.
No, and
Um,
please tell us when the Wi-Fi is back, because the quality before that was better, but it's fine
yeah,
to continue now. It's fine
yeah,
for.
yeah. Okay. So far, I think the Wi-Fi is still out.
No problem, no problem. We can still understand you and everything is fine. Let's just go with the flow.
Right. Well, also with the Wi-Fi, Arik, it might go out again, and so I feel that at least we can have a streamlined broadcast
Yes,
without interruptions like this.
no problem. Whatever feels better for you. Okay, good. So let's
Okay.
address that question.
So to answer the question with how much juice to drink, and that's a question that a lot of people ask, and that's another thing in which you can get caught up in different opinions, and what works for one person is going to work for me. Are the guidelines, like John Rose, for example, he says, well, you want to drink at least a gallon a day. So that would be 4 quarts, about 4 liters of juice. And there's a reason for that. Number one, we want to drink enough juice to hydrate the colon. Because one of the reasons why we do a salt vacation is to hydrate all that old fecal matter. So it is important to drink enough juice. Number two, there's something to be said about meeting your caloric needs. I'm not one to count calories or follow that at all. Yet there's something about making sure that you have, at least when you're just beginning, that you have enough juice, that you have enough energy from the juice that you consume. Although the energy that we have doesn't come from food, but when we start on this journey, yes, you want to make sure you have enough juice that you don't lose that much weight and start losing a lot of energy. So 1 gallon is kind of like the fundamental agreement. And then if you are very physically active and you exercise and you're very active, you probably want to increase that to 1.5 gallons, about 5 or 6 quarts. Now, here's where I'm going to say it again. You got to listen to your body. I had many days that I could not drink more than 3 quarts. So it's not, I couldn't force myself to drink more, especially if you incorporate fasting, which I did. I did intermittent fasting also during my solitude vacation. So I only had, a certain window of consuming juice, and I just couldn't consume that much. My body didn't want it either. Some days I wanted more juice than other days. So it's really crucial to listen to your body. Some days your body is just going to tell you, I don't want anything. Because what happens when you consume only juices, you go into a very deep detoxification mode. And when the body is detoxing, the body knows better than the mind. The body knows better than what John Rose says or whatever. And some days the body is doing really deep cleaning and really deep cleansing work. And all it wants is for you to get out of the way. And that means to actually not consume or consume less. So when it comes to the question of how much juice to consume, there are the guidelines. And then you listen to your body on a daily basis, because what works today may not work tomorrow. Maybe today 5 quarts is what I'm actually needing, and then tomorrow fasting is actually what's going to suit me better, or maybe only 3 quarts. And then the other part of the question, which you already touched on, Arik, there's no such thing as failure, Ilinka, and I know your journey a little bit because we've connected in the past. And
Hello, my beautiful friends. Here's a video to answer your questions, since my internet connection was not very stable and heavy rains here in Costa Rica in the last couple of days, which has been affecting the internet, the electricity, just all the things. So it is what it is, and all in perfect flow. I did want to address all the beautiful questions that have been submitted in the group. And so this video is for that. And Arik and I are going to do another webinar in a couple of weeks. I believe August 6th is when we're going to meet again. So all in divine, perfect flow and timing. So let's dive in. The first question is, can one be on juices only throughout their life as a lifestyle? Or is it recommended for only while fasting, detoxing? I ask this because we are not consuming any fiber from the fruit. So let's see how to go about this question. And you can talk to Arik about it, because Arik is pretty much, he's doing only liquids, and he's, excuse me, he's been doing that for a long time. So to answer your question, yes, one can be on juices only, one can be on water only, one can be on nothing, and just air. So in terms of if one can do it, definitely can. The question is to be asked is if one is ready physically and mentally to actually be on all liquids. So I started touching on that on the webinar, on the live broadcast that we did, that it's really about where you're at on your journey, and also what you aspire to. I personally aspire to be completely free of food, and if I want to eat, I'll eat. But again, I don't like to call it a breatharian or whatnot, but more about having freedom and having the freedom to choose, rather than have something have a power over me, if it's food or anything else. So yes, you could be on juices throughout your life. Absolutely. You'll go through a period of detoxification, which is going to differ from person to person based on the state of your body, based on your previous lifestyle, on your childhood. There's so many different factors of how long it's going to be for you in terms of detoxing and purging all the toxicity out of your body. Could be a year, 2, 3, it could be 5 years. And even after the initial purging detoxification period, you may still continue to experience different phases of that. So yes, you could be on juices only, and we don't really need the fiber as we were taught to believe. There's a time and place for everything. So if you aspire to live on only liquids, if that's something that you genuinely feel this is my path, not because you're seeing somebody else and you compare yourself, but you feel in your heart, man, this is something I would love to do. I would love to live my life on only liquids, then absolutely 100%. And between point A to point B, or where you're at now, and living on only liquids, that's a matter of what's your journey? Where are you at? How much detoxing have you been doing? Have you done a solitude vacation that is longer than, let's say, 30 days? So there's a time and a place for fiber based on where you're at physically and what needs to be cleaned out from your body and in your gut. But then 100% us as humans, we are able to live on only liquids and nothing also. So that's the answer to the question. I highly recommend some of you, or all of you, if you feel inclined, to read the book Man's Higher Consciousness, because he goes into humans actually were not designed to eat food, and food is more like a drug, something that the body has adjusted itself to ingest and process, but it's actually not our natural state. Now it's not about an opinion, or if I believe that and you believe something else. It really is about what resonates with you. And if it resonates with you, if it sparks your curiosity, I highly encourage you to check out the book and have your mind be open to a different story. All right, now question number 2. My question: while being on juices and fruits, I have experienced reduced hemoglobin from 10.8 grams to 5.5 in 4 months. Why did this happen? What can be done so that this doesn't happen again? So in regards to that, and it's tricky here a little bit for me doing these questions without the actual person that is asking the question, because pretty much for every single question here, I have questions to the person in order for me to really answer the question. Understand that this journey of healing, this dance, this art of detoxification and healing is a very individual, case by case. Although we are a species and all the guidelines apply to all of us, but then there's some variables based on many different factors on a physical level, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So I would ask this person, she or he is saying that they've been being on juices and fruits. I would guess that 4 months, and that's the drop that they have seen. My question would be, what was your eating like before the fruits and the juices? I would need to know more about this person. However, I would say that what you are seeing, the drop of hemoglobin, it's really not about the food. This is oxygen. You're lacking oxygen in your body, and you're lacking oxygen in your blood. And your body is probably very acidic and very congested. And it's more about the quality of your breath that is probably quite low. I would ask you also, where do you live? What's the quality of air that you are subjected to? What's the quality of your breath? And you are detoxing. So if you've been on juices and fruits for a few months, what happens is that when we start detoxing, especially with the fruits are not to blame. They expose, or the process, not even the fruits, but the process of detoxification starts to expose the weaknesses, the existing weaknesses that you have in your body and you've had for a very long time. So you're seeing the hemoglobin starting to drop, not because the juices and the fruits, is because there's a systemic issue that is now being brought up to the surface through the process of detoxification. So to answer the question of what can be done so that this doesn't happen again, is to clean your body, to oxygenate, to alkaline your body enough that it functions in the way that it's supposed to and is meant to function. So again, I would need to converse with this person a little bit more and have more of a background and understanding of where they're at. But it's not about taking supplements. It's not about taking this and that to bring the hemoglobin up. It's about cleaning your body. And just like I said earlier, we don't know how long it's going to take. But it's addressing the deficiencies, which with a low hemoglobin, you're probably very low on iron as well. It's adrenals. We're looking at your kidneys. We're looking at your liver, but your liver in relation to the adrenals, everything is working together. And then it might all be influenced by your brain, actually, and the master glands in your brain, which is the pituitary and the hypothalamus, which for most people are very much affected because of the gut. And there's a gut-brain connection. When your gut is clogged up, your brain is going to be clogged up. The master glands are going to be compromised in their function, therefore compromising all other glands and the function of the other glands in the body. So, but with this one, I intuitively feel, and again, I would need to converse with you, is again, not so much the food as much of the air quality and the quality of your breath. Your lungs might be very compromised in utilizing and processing oxygen, and you're not getting enough oxygen into your blood. But also acidic environment is going to cause that. When you are very acidic in your body, immediately there's a lack of oxygen. So we need to address that in order for that issue to be resolved. So it's not the fruits and the juices. And I believe this is the same person actually that is asking, is it recommended to take supplements, as I'm also B12, vitamin D deficient and iron deficient, calcium problems too, have many health conditions. So the deficiencies don't exist, meaning it's not that you are deficient. It looks like you are deficient, but what is deficient is the proper function of the glands that are responsible for the utilization of these particular elements and these particular minerals and vitamins that we're looking for. So B12 is not something that you're going to consume through food. It's your gut bacteria. And we replenish gut bacteria by eating fruits and veggies that are not washed. There's a lot of good bacteria in the soil when the soil is actually healthy and not contaminated by pesticides and toxins. We get a lot of healthy bacteria from the soil, which in the gut gets produced as B12. I mean, we've been fed a lot of myths, you can say, and we get caught up in the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals. The body knows what to do. The body is very efficient. Nature is very intelligent. We are not going to outsmart nature, but we veered away from nature so much that you start seeing all these, what we call deficiencies, which don't exist. Is address the cause, not the symptoms. All these deficiencies that you are seeing are merely symptoms of some sort of a malfunction of the machine, aka your body. Calcium issues, that's your thyroid and your parathyroid. And the vitamin D, we get it from the sun. So if you're not exposed to the sun enough on a daily basis, then you're going to be deficient in vitamin D. But then even if you are exposed to sunlight, if you have other, again, glands that are not functioning to utilize this vitamin D, you might be deficient, even if you get a lot of sunlight and sunshine. So the fact that you're saying that you have many health conditions, right away, I can tell you are lymphatically stagnant, congested in your body, systemically acidic because of that lymphatic congestion, which is affecting the blood flow in the body. It's affecting the circulation. It's affecting everything else. It's affecting all the glands. You probably have every single gland down to some degree to be deficient in so many things. And the source of that 95% of the time is the gut, is the colon. And that's why solid food vacation is one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself in the process of cleaning internally, cleaning your gut, cleaning your colon. So I don't recommend supplements, absolutely not, especially not in isolated forms of supplements. It's just going to throw the body off balance even more so. You might see result in the short term, but we're not looking at the short term. We're looking at what is sustainable. We want to address the cause, not just address the symptoms. So the supplements are going to address the symptoms, and then a few months from now, and it can be even a few years from now, it's going to bite you in the ass because you're not addressing the root cause. But it seems like you're doing excellent job here in terms of juicing. And I see that you're juicing celery, watermelon, grapes, limes, ginger. Very, very low appetite, you're saying here, have to force to eat. So don't. The body wants to fast. That's when we got to get out of the mind and believing that it's all these nutrients and all this food that is going to bring about healing. No, if the body is saying, no, hungry, I don't have appetite, don't eat, fast. Fasting is the greatest way to regenerate and heal the body, and the body is intelligent. So the fact that you're saying you have to force yourself to eat, why are you doing that? Why are you forcing yourself to eat? And you're saying that you cannot usually eat until late morning, which is great. And I would recommend, you're saying that you drink hot water and ginger in between, to not drink as much water. Actually, your kidneys are most likely are not filtering. And if you drink so much water, you're not helping your kidneys to recuperate and to heal. So again, it's a tricky position to be in. These things must be conversed with the person involved. I can't just give you blank statements and do this, don't do that. But I would need to know more information. So long story short, though, just to answer your questions, because you're asking about supplements, I do not recommend supplements. If anything, it's just the herbs. And there are many beautiful herbs and many beautiful companies out there. I personally resonate and love Dr. Morris and his herbs and the energy behind it. So that's what I recommend. That's what I work with. Those are the herbs that I work with. So you're on the right track doing all the juices and the fruits. I would want to ask you, where do you live and the quality of fruits that you're getting? Again, the quality of air. Do you live in a city? How much time do you spend in nature? What's the quality of your breath? Many different factors here to address these issues that all stem from the same cause, manifesting in different ways. So yeah, we'll do another webinar, and hopefully the people that have asked questions are going to be on the other webinar, and I can talk to the person one-on-one. But if you don't feel hungry, do not eat, do not drink juice. It's totally okay. Fasting is great. And I would not take supplements, and reduce your water consumption. And perhaps do more dry fasting actually to encourage kidney filtration and getting your kidneys to work properly, because that's the ticket. One of the most important component of healing and regeneration. All right, the other question I have here is regarding supplementing on oil, like flax oil. Now we're talking about solid food vacation. John Rose, which I spoke about, he recommends to do a spoonful of oil on a daily basis. He says for men to do flax oil, for women to do hemp oil. Is this necessary in my experience? So I personally did not do the oil. And just like I said in the live webinar, I love John Rose and the information he shares, and not everything resonates with me. So I extract what resonates with me, and what doesn't, I just don't follow. And if one day it does resonate with me, I'll go for it, and I'll be guided. But personally, I don't, and really it's not so much of a personal opinion. If you look at nature, it's not a natural thing. Like those condensed oils are very concentrated. The body is not designed to ingest and assimilate this form of concentrated oil. So if fat in general, we're not meant to ingest too much fat, but if we do eat fat, it's much better to ingest it as a whole food. Mainly, that's why we have fatty fruits like avocados, fruits like durian. Basically, those two fruits are the most fatty foods. They contain a significant amount of fatty acids. And so nature is intelligent. You know, they put those fatty foods out there so we can consume them, but you don't really go and pick dense oil or concentrated oil from a tree, right? It's quite processed. So again, it's just, to me, it's what is natural, what makes sense, what resonates, and it doesn't resonate, especially ingesting it just like that. Some people have done it and had great results. I didn't incorporate it into my solid food vacation. Also, it depends on what is your vision or what is your intention, because if your intention to do a solid food vacation is to also go deeper into your detoxification, oils are going to not stop the process, but they slow detox big time. Cooked food and fat is going to slow down detox, and that's why we feel better. It's anti-inflammatory as well. So if you have a lot of inflammation in your body, which is a result of acidosis, you are going to feel better when you ingest fat. It doesn't mean that the fat is necessarily good for your body. In the short term, it brings about relief, and emotionally, it's very comforting as well. But overall, oils and fats, and especially dense oils, are going to slow down detox, and they're mucus forming. So if you're actually doing a solid food vacation to release all that mucus and all that lymphatic waste, then you don't want to produce new mucus. Basically, that's just makes sense. That's the mucusless diet. And fat is mucus forming, especially oils. So I didn't feel inclined to ingest oils whatsoever. Again, it's getting caught up a little bit in the mental nutritional value, the nutrients and this and that. The body is smart, the body is efficient, and let's trust that. And question number 2 from the same person: what are your thoughts about cabbage juice, and why would my body suddenly crave it? So first of all, if your body is asking for it, your body is intelligent. Now there's a difference between what we say, oh, my body is craving pizza or fried food or whatever junk. That's not your body. That's your fungus, that's your candida, that's your parasites. Those are emotional habits and whatnot. So there's a distinction between body's intelligence saying, you know, eat peaches or eat oranges or drink pineapple juice or drink cabbage juice, and a craving that is manipulated by different forces. So if somebody craves cabbage juice, I don't really see that as an unbeneficial craving. It's actually with cabbage. And I have that on my solid vacation protocol that I give my clients. I've created based on John Rose, I've created my kind of my own structure. And cabbage juice is very good in stimulating digestive activity, digestive activity. And so if you're craving it, it just means that your digestive system is looking for that element, is looking for that substance. And cabbage is very stimulating to the digestive juices. That's why people make sauerkraut and they eat sauerkraut. Now, I don't promote fermented food whatsoever, but the cabbage itself and especially the juice, not necessarily eating it because it's a lot of roughage, but the cabbage juice is excellent for healing the gut. So if you're craving it, I don't even want to say the word craving it. If your body is asking for it, why are you asking questions? Drink the cabbage juice, just make cabbage juice. And I recommend to do the purple one because you get the antioxidants as well from those deep dark colors. So do the cabbage and see how you feel. It's always about your experience with your body. So those are my thoughts about cabbage juice. Absolutely go for it and see how it feels. Drink it very slowly, though, very, very slowly. Another question here, does it really need to be juices? Any disadvantage of doing smoothies instead? So it's not about that it's a disadvantage. It's different. It's just different. I can drink apple juice, I can drink orange juice. Is there a disadvantage of me drinking orange juice? No, it's where are you at and what your body is asking and what is your intention? Those are the questions to ask. So apple juice is going to nourish your body differently than orange juice. So if you are going after, let's say, addressing lymphatic stagnation and really moving your digestive system, but especially the lymphatic stagnation, orange juice, the citrus is the way to go to dissolve that mucus, to dissolve that stagnation. Apple juice is a little bit more gentle. It's not as astringent. And apple juice is something a little bit more gentle that I would say, well, if you want to slow down detox a little bit, if you really want to nourish your colon, but do it in a very gentle way, then go to the apple juice. So when it comes to juices and smoothies, it's apples and oranges, two different things. The thing is with the Salt for Vacation, when we do juices only, the difference with a smoothie is that we do remove the fiber, the majority. There's still a little bit, but we remove the majority of fiber and we give our digestive system a complete break. Plus, we hydrate interstitially our body and we hydrate the colon. Not to say that you don't hydrate it with smoothies, but the body does not need to break down, process, assimilate, and eliminate any fiber whatsoever. Again, a really, really, really small amount with the juices. So that's the difference. The deepest, there's a pyramid of detoxification. And going back to what is your intention? If you are wanting to dig deep and detox deeply, fasting is the top of the pyramid. Dry fasting. And even within the dry fasting, you can look at what we call absolute dry fast when you don't even touch water. And then there's a soft dry fast, right? So even within the fasting, we're looking at some different variables. And then you go to water fasting. And after the water fasting, you go to juice. And even within the juices, we look at different levels. Mono juicing is deeper and more, I would say, aggressive than combination of juices, because we got cut off there at the live stream. I wanted to get into that, the difference between mono juices and when you mix. So when you do mono juice, is a very different experience than when you do different mixes. And you got to try it yourself and see the difference. Even this person that is asking between juices and smoothies, do a week of just juices and do a week of just smoothies and see the difference for yourself, the difference in your body, the difference in how you feel. Now, of course, we can't really compare 1 week to 30 days, 40 days, 90 days, because it's the consistency, it's the long term that we really see shifts. But those are the fundamental differences between the juices and the smoothies, is the removal of the fiber and giving your body and especially your digestive system a complete break, in which the majority of the energy goes to healing and regeneration, and the gut gets a break, and you're not producing new filth to eliminate. So that's when you start seeing the mucoid plaque. You start seeing the old fecal matter, the stuff that has been glued to your bowel walls for years, coming out. And that's the power of the juices, especially when you do mono juices, especially when you start doing the fruit juices and the astringent juices like the OJ, pineapple juice when it's ripe, grape juice. Those are the most astringent ones. So that's the difference. It's great to do smoothies only. But also, I personally, with the smoothies, when you run things in the blender and it's so fast, it doesn't resonate with me anymore. I used to do a lot of smoothies. And I'll do a smoothie here and there, but I know it's not ideal. The speed of the blender, and it oxidize the contents. It changes something. It energetically, everything is energy, and energetically, it's just the speed of the blender, and it's just too much. And I feel that it changes the molecular structure of the food, not to the degree that cooking does or putting things in a microwave. But if you were to process your produce, slow masticating, cold press juicing will be the way to go, because it's just slow. It extracts juice slowly. There's no like aggressive speed. So that's just another component that I bring into the difference between juicing and blending. And it all depends on where you're at. So if you're just coming from a standard diet and you go into smoothies, you are a star, so it really just depends. But if you've been on a journey for a while and you're ready for something deeper, then the juices are going to affect you more, right? So we also get to consider where we're at and if it's time to take the next step, right? If you've been doing smoothies, so always expanding, always growing, and the body is going to ask for it as well. It's like, okay, I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready for the fast. I'm ready for the dry fasting. I'm ready for whatever the next step for you is. All right, the next question is, there's 2 questions from the same person. How to get rid of sugar cravings? Okay, so that's a big topic, the sugar cravings. Again, I would need to probably speak to that person and get a little bit more information. But fungus, you are loaded with fungus. That's why you crave sugar. And it's an addiction also. So we're looking at multiple layers, fungus, candida, that you probably systemically have in your body. And it's a drug. It's no different than cocaine, my friends. Like I said earlier, food is the drug. And when we look at certain substances certain food substances like sugar and salt, I would put them in the same category as cocaine. As a society, we've classified particular drugs as drugs, and they're not good, like cocaine or heroin and whatnot. And I dare to tell you here that salt and sugar, when I say sugar, I want to be very clear. I don't mean glucose and fructose, which are the natural sugars occurring in fruits, which were designed for the human organism. I'm talking about processed sugar, white sugar, that has been stripped and completely modified. and then acts as a drug. So salt, table salt, or salt in general, sugar, I'm going to put them in the same category as cocaine, and just as harmful, if not even more, because it's a slow death. It's a kind of like a slow creeping, one step at a time kind of a substance. It's almost like better to be addicted to cocaine or something, because at least it's going to hit you kind of a little bit faster than the salt and the sugar, that one day you wake up and you've got tumors and whatnot. So the sugar is very much an addiction. So there's something to be said about the chemical reaction in the brain, and there's an addiction and some emotional components to that could be addressed. And it's fungus, and it kind of like goes hand in hand. That's why detoxification and the regeneration of the body is a multi-layered experience of body, mind, and soul, spirit, and looking at the emotional components. So how to get rid of it, it's not a black and white question, but doing a parasite cleanse, again, I would need to know more about this person, where they're at, what they've been doing, what kind of food they're eating. It's also making sure that you are eating enough fruits, because the body is actually craving. A lot of people that have sugar cravings, the body is merely asking for the sugar that is meant for it. And it's people that don't eat fruit. They eat processed sugar, which is addictive, and that's why they keep wanting sugar, versus eating the sugar that was designed for the body, which is fruit. And that's what the body is actually asking for. So I would need to know from you, do you eat fruit? Like, what is your food intake? So it's to make sure that you eat enough fruit throughout the day, and hopefully good quality fruit and ripe fruit. And then absolutely to do a parasite fungus cleanse. And that's going to take care of the sugar cravings. And how to achieve kidney filtration. Well, again, that's not so much of a yes or no question or black and white. I would need to speak with a person and know what they're doing, what is your lifestyle. But it's, as a general guideline, it's going to detox is eating fruits, doing the juices, and doing dry fasting. Dry fasting is one of the best ways to get your kidneys to filter, in combination with juicing and doing fruits. And some fruits, the astringent ones that I've already mentioned, citrus and grapes, are going to assist in the kidney opening, especially the grapes and grape juice, and the combination of grapes and lemons. Like the lemons and the oranges are our best friends when it comes to detox and cleaning the body on so many levels. So that's how you get kidney filtration. And it's going to vary, because you can be on the same protocol as Sarah, and you going to same protocol, let's say, of dry fasting and strictly fruit and juices, and focusing on the astringent fruits. But person A, let's say Jenny, is going to start filtering after a week or 2 weeks. And Sarah over there is doing the same thing for 3 months, and the kidneys are not filtering, the exact same thing. So it depends. And that's when we look at the eyes, and you can see just how severe the kidneys are, the function or the malfunction of the kidneys, and genetic weaknesses, and the history of how much meat have you consumed in your life, how much protein, are you still consuming protein in the form, even if it's plant-based protein, heavy protein like beans. Beans are the number one, I would say, beans and grains that are very, very, very hard on the kidneys, especially the beans. All those things must be removed. So that's how you achieve kidney filtration, but there's no time on that of how long it's going to take. It's going to be different from person to person. Last question here: drinking herbal tea while on a juice fast, when is the best time to drink it? So yeah, absolutely, I was drinking herbal teas, but again, it's your own guidance, your own body. when to drink it, whenever you want to, whenever you feel cold. I usually, when I did drink herbal teas, it would be in the morning. I would take my herbs and tinctures and whatnot with an herbal tea. Sometimes I would drink in the evening. So it's really up to you. I encourage to not overdo it because, again, that's a lot of liquids in the form of water more. It's not like the juices, which are distilled water, because that the water in fruit is structured distilled water in the way that nature was intended, in the way it was designed for the body to assimilate. And that's why you really don't need to drink that much water. It actually dehydrates the body. So if you are drinking herbal teas while on a juice fast, absolutely, but not too much. Maybe a cup a day, and maybe alternate the herbs. Again, depending what you are addressing, what teas are you drinking, and listen to your body. When is the best time to drink it? It's going to be different for you than it was for me and is for me. And it's going to be different for you every single day. So check in. So those are the questions that I received prior to the webinar. I know that there were some questions in the chat. I asked Arik to send it over to me, but I don't know if he got the questions from the chat once the webinar was done. So if you did put some questions in the chat and they weren't addressed, you can always put them in the WhatsApp group and or come to the live webinar, the take 2 that we're going to have August 6th, I believe, but Arik is going to inform you of that. And the last thing I wanted to share here, and more information is going to come about this, I am going to host a 30-day solid food vacation. It's going to be a group experience for 30 days of a solid food vacation. And we are going to start August 8th, which is the new moon in Leo. And it's going to go until September 6th, which is the new moon in Virgo. So it's going to be 30 days of doing a solid food vacation as a group. There's going to be fasting involved as well. So if you want to dive deeper into fasting, dry fasting, it could be a 1 day, 48 hours. We'll talk about the different windows and how to incorporate it into your solid food vacation. So we are going to do that as a group. And I'm making it extremely, extremely affordable. This is the first time I'm offering something like this for the kind of price. We are going to be together as a group every week. We're going to have a call. We're going to have a Zoom call, question and answers. And probably we're going to have even 2 or 3 more Zoom interactions outside of the question and answers. We're going to have a private group for the practitioners or for the participants, and 30 days together with all these live interactions for $144. And as I said, I'm making it super, super affordable because I know a lot of people are looking for support, and doing one-on-one work is a bit more of an investment. So if you feel inspired and you want some support, then let me know. You can contact me and let me know that you want to participate. And more details are going to come about this and how to sign up. And the sooner you sign up, the better. We don't have a lot of time. What I would like to do is to do some sort of preparation. And so to join by August 1st or August 3rd. So, because especially if you're new to juice feasting and you're new to all of this, it will be beneficial if you have some more preparation. If you've done a solid food vacation before, if you're already eating quite clean and a raw foodie or fruity or whatnot, then you might not need as much preparation. But also mentally, just having that preparation. So I recommend to decide and to join by the 1st of August or the 3rd at the latest. But yeah, more information is going to come your way. You can contact me if you'd like to have more information. And if you'd like to incorporate more one-on-one with me, plus the group experience for those 30 days, then that's a little bit of a different price tag, and we can talk about this one-on-one. So I wanted to let you know that that's happening August 8th. And yeah, thank you for all your questions. Post it in the WhatsApp group if you have any more questions. And you're welcome to contact me as well for any additional information about the group experience or anything else that you might are curious about in regards to detoxification and your own personal regeneration journey. So much love to all of you, and we shall come together soon again. All right. Much love. Bye-bye.